Man, welcome back, FOF family. It is good to be back. I haven't been here in so long, but man, I've missed these teams. I've missed these players. And man, speaking of that, I'm joined with Civilock, and UB has been fantastic. I wish you guys were playing, man, but you're here with me today, so you're gonna stuck on this casting duo.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have been compelled to join the Mythic League, so you can catch us on Mondays and Tuesdays starting next week. But instead, we are here on a Thursday, and that means heroic, and that means really late sign up versus team whatever horrific monstrosity of a name that is. I'm still not going to say it.
Team A, that is what they will be
Yeah,
called.
we'll call that's a good one. I like that one. I like that one, Found. We'll stick to it. And yeah, I mean, I have some pretty high expectations for this game. I know just in terms of the standings, RLS, is definitely the favorite to win, but I think it's Team A along with Team Wash that have just these teams keep losing, but it's not clear how. They're just missing that little bit of extra something that their team gels together, because individually, player for player, they have some really good talent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, with some of these teams, I mean, you can tell a little bit of how they're losing. Like Team A has very good laners from what I've seen so far, but their mid game is a little sloppy, so that's kind of where they've been struggling, and that's kind of prototypical Jaffe team. He's really good in lane, but sometimes when he gets into that 20-minute mark, you can expect some shenanigans. And but this would be a fantastic win for them to come back on, especially given the way the standings are right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the way I think about it is that Team A they're kind of losing to themselves. They're in their own overwhelming bloodlust. You have all these really aggressive players, these decisive shot callers, and everyone dog piles on every play. And when you're picking good fights, it's awesome. And then when you get a little behind, excuse me, things get a little bit shaky. So we'll see if Team A can rein in a little bit of that aggression and make sure it's disciplined and calculated, not just the bloodlust coming out of XT as he looks for those sick frags in the jungle.
I mean, absolutely. And speaking of bloodlust, we have some interesting champions that are being picked out so far. Now, anybody who knows me knows Kalista is like my favorite champion ever. I'm so happy that she has finally come back into the meta. So a very skill expressive AD carry and can show off exactly how good that right click finger is. And Janna is my most hated support, so we're really fitting this in together to make sure we get different options. But Janna is a fantastic pick into Kennen and Wukong, so it will get a lot of value in this specific game.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We see RLS leading off with the B1 Sivir. That's just a classic. That's the meta slam. Sivir just dictating a lot of compositions and a lot of team fights on this current patch. She's super strong, a really great scaler. She can be a little abused in lane, but if she has the right matchup, she can just wave clear and mitigate lane entirely. And with that in mind, though, it was matched by this really short-range, aggressive beatdown composition. In fact, Team A is so determined to play this aggressive early-game beatdown that they slam this Kennen when Poppy Janna is on the other team. They do not care. They're like, you want to try and Janna ult us out? You can't Janna ult all of us, so one of us is going to find her way in.
Absolutely. I mean, that is either extreme confidence or a cardinal sin. We're going to see which one is going to be the result, because Janna against Kennen is a nightmare matchup, especially since your ultimate is going to be your main source of value, and just getting ulted out by Janna can really ruin your team fight synergy. But with Yone being locked in, you got a mixed damage carry coming out in the mid lane. Most likely, it could be top. Dokla did show off how powerful it can be in specific matchups in the top lane, so a flex pick coming out is very smart. Does give both Jaffe and Esports Demons some room to work with in the rest of their draft.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of flexibility here. And I mean, just as I was saying, Team A I think they have the same read on their identity, and they're just going to lean harder into it. That's the way you address your style as a team. You know what you're good at, you know what you're bad at, and then you want to draft in a way that either leans in your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, or both. And I kind of see that from Team A right now. They're just like, if we all love battling, let's just pick the best battlers in the game, and then we'll constantly battle. And that's certainly a way to play. We'll have to see. There is something that's a little odd here, Found, and I'm looking at Team A, and I'm actually not sure where any of these characters are going yet, because this could still be Kennen support.
If they have left the counter pick up for the support, Get Kennen is a old school combination that we saw with Callista very, very shortly. It is an interesting combination. Now, the damage from the ultimate is not going to be there very often, but the stun is still going to be able to be provided, and it is going to be the Kennen heading into that bot lane into the Janna Sivir. This is a massive range advantage, so there's going to be some room to pressure in this lane, and this is probably one of the matchups where Kennen support can do quite well, especially since Sivir is going to have a very difficult time trying to fight into this Callista.
Yeah, it's definitely a good lane matchup, but I am honestly really worried on how Team A is going to fight back in the mid game. They are drafting a composition that is definitely capable of it, but must absolutely crush the early game. Because if you enter the mid game even in gold, and your 4 monkey engage characters plus Callista have to engage into Poppy, Sivir Ultimate, Janna Monsoon, and Talia the worked ground, the stones. Like at
Weaver's Wall.
How are you? Yeah, she has her ultimate and her E stops dashes now. So if if Talia finds MXL and puts the rocks on top of Callista, you actually just can't move, and it's horrible. Like you just can't jump. So
I mean, MXL has.
Go ahead.
MXL has definitely set himself up to be in a position where he's going to need to be a big carry and a damage threat. Now, Callista does have the capability of doing that now with the changes to items and her versatility, with Bladed Ruinting also being a very good item in the meta right now. But I mean, it's weird to see a game shape up where a lot of the pressure is going to be on how impactful these support players can be. If Escape is on his game, it's going to be it's going to be basically impossible for Team A to play. But if this Kennen is able to find good angles, I mean, though that stun can be amazingly impactful.
Yeah, we'll load in. We'll have to see what happens. Definitely, I think if Team A has a chance, I definitely would much rather play the blue side draft, but if Team A has a chance, it means that they have crushed every single lane matchup, and XT is running the entire early game on the map. And we're going to have to look for those early Rift Heralds, those early Dragons, see if they can put them on a timer, because eventually the Sivir will get out of control, and there are no tools on Team A to deal with it.
So, and we've already seen some adaptations in the summoner setup. Callista has chosen to go for the Ghost. Now, she does not get as much value out of it as other champions, as the move speed can affect your hop, but it's very situational based on how slows are affecting the champion. But it is one of the interesting new tech options we've seen from AD carries recently. The Ghost is so impactful in team fights. It's just another resetting tool that Riot just loves putting into the game. So, MXL looking for definitely looking for some team fight pressure and trying to more so pressure in the laning phase enough to get an advantage, but not really looking for those all-in kills right away.
Yeah, that's a little odd to me, because that seems quite at odds with Callista's game plan. Like, Callista has to dominate lane, she just doesn't really scale with her short range. I wonder if maybe this Ghost is less for Callista. I know her jumps do scale with the move speed, but it's a little bit of an awkward interaction. And I mean, you're kind of going overkill on mobility at that point. I wonder if the Ghost is to deliver Kennen with Callista Ultimate a little more effectively. That could come up later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would expect it's definitely going to be something similar, as the autos are going to be coming through for Jaffe, forcing anti-back early. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, this Ghost is something, honestly, we expect a lot more from Sivir than Callista, but the exhaust on Tef is going to be very, very useful. I mean, Kennen basically forces an exhaust to be on the team somewhere, and the AD carry is going to be in range to exhaust.
The level 2, a little bit of a top skirmish, but hopefully we see, do they get the convert? No, they don't really convert too much off their level 2 advantage, but they do have the stacked wave on the bottom side. MXL and Rare Adam will look to see if they get some good
items are coming through on Escape.
Whoa, Escape's gotta watch his step there, not respecting level 2 at all. But I think with Janna, you can still play back and it should be okay. But that is a little bit of early tempo going over to the side of Team A in the bottom lane. That's what they need to stay in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's what we'd expect. Now, the CS lead hasn't built in, but the push pressure is going to be there, so giving some X1 some opportunities to look into the early jungle. He's going to be pathing top, so maybe a gank on this Shyvana is going to be the expectation, because she's already very low on HP, and a dive is possible from that health range.
Yeah, that's really precarious, especially with War Leader pathing toward the bottom side of the map. I don't know if Anti really can do anything about this. Oh, Javi!
Damage coming through.
And, I mean, you know, we were just talking about the dive. Doesn't even need XT to show up. Javi finds a solo there. That's a huge surprise to me, fam.
All right, very clean. Ignite coming through. People wasn't expecting that extra damage, but Anti getting punished in the 1v1 with that kill going over to Shen. If Shen wins lane and can TP out for free, it is very, very detrimental for the overall game plan of RLS.
Yeah, that could be what they need to start dogpieing through bottom lane, especially if they can have him before Janna has ultimate. As soon as Janna is ult, it's going to be a lot harder to dive bottom, but if they play it before that,
going to be there, force the flash out of the Talia on the extra autos coming through. Esports team is going to grab it, and that is a fantastic gank timing, taking the kill right away.
Wow, the confidence from Esports Demos here. He knows his damage, he knows it's exactly lethal, gets that EQ combo, and XT gets the perfect follow-up. That initial chunk, that's all they need, and Esports Demos is confident that with his proc on his clone, he's going to get the kill, and can get the kill he does. A great conversion, and wow, the Team A, they're running the early game, and they're really making it look like their show.
Speaking of that, the Poppy's going to be in trouble. The spears are in, and the Ren's not going to be enough. Hill's going to come through. Walk out is there. So far as the bonk from the Wukong is going to grab it, XT picks up one in the gank. Good counter gank timing.
I wasn't even sure if it was done yet. They're still looking for blood at no HP over Adam. He gets struck down. Okay. I think they're done. No, XT's coming back. I like this a lot. You know, the wave is coming in. You know, you need to help your bottom lane crash. And yeah, he's just going to channel here in proximity. Super smart move just to give his bottom lane control back so that they can recall safely instead of being trapped here at low health. But yeah, you know, Team A, they say, we don't care about matches. We don't care about the comp. We don't care that we get outscaled. Now we're just going to draft 5 characters that we're really comfortable on, and we're going to crush you in lane, and no other strategies matter when you're up that much gold. And they're making it work so far.
Yeah, I also like this decision from Team A. You're not going to be able to shove in very comfortably with Sivir at those HP bars. Not going to risk getting counter ganked by War Leader just come sprinting back down bot lane. So just letting the wave stay neutral, getting those 2 really vital for Kalista to get those as early as possible, as that is how her jump scales. So well done on this early bot side, getting the punish onto Team RLS, who have been suffering in this early game despite how well they've been doing this season. Their early games have been a little rough, and this is kind of on that normal trajectory for them.
Yeah, they are definitely struggling, but they are a team that relies a lot on coordination and communication. I expect them to see a big wake-up during the team fighting phase, and even though Anti did die early on, Anti is never someone you can just disrespect. He will continue to farm and continue to grow. He's not a player who you can really take out of the game entirely, and he will always play to win. He's really strong mental and will maintain that focus even in tough matchups. So really excited to see if Anti can turn around, and he's already looking to dive 1v1.
Yeah, ultimate's going to come through, but the ref is not going to be enough. Jaffe with the good taunt away, but we see how impactful teleport can be. The solo kill came through on Jaffe, but he didn't really get a good recall off of it. So our Anti is now going to have full pressure in this wave, and Jaffe's so low he cannot teleport out, which gives a bunch of extra pressure across the map that Anti's just won for his team.
Yeah, Jaffe's going to need to get out of here if he wants to not get dived, and this is a huge tempo loss. Do keep in mind, Jaffe actually never recalled, even though he got that solo kill. He is still sitting on that Dorn shield. He is sitting on a lot of gold and actually didn't get a meaningful tempo advantage off his early kill. And that's in the lack of teleport can come back to bite you. You're just down in resources. You're down in tempo. You can't spend your money. And Jaffe's actually just been trapped here, and Anti's been able to grind out a successful advantage.
And MXL getting the auto attacks onto escape, forced to walk away. Ren's not going to come through. Shield's still going to be there to negate some of that damage if it had came anyway. But a little bit of pressure in this bot side. Once again, these junglers are spending a lot of time here. Ultimate's going to be here. Damage coming onto Ruby. Snapbacks here, and the last shot's not going to grab it as a solo kill for the Yone.
Oh no, this Yone is taking off really fast. Ruby is a spectacular player, especially for his rank. He really plays up and is really a big part of RLS. I mean, it's put in the R in RLS. And I think something we've noticed, though, is that even though Ruby's game sense and his team play is really good, he is still, not the best laner. And it looks like Esports Demos is really exploiting that. He's getting to free scale, not just farm, but get early kills as Yone, which is really not what you want Yone to do. Is he's a scaling champion. He's annoying in lane, but he doesn't have a ton of agency over how fights happen. But when he gets to fight on his own terms and stat check you, it can be really tough.
Yeah, that is 100% what he is the majority of the time. A big stat ball, a lot of damage onto this dragon. Take War Leader is going to grab it. Smite's going to come through nice and clean. Now let's see if they can get out. Damage is going to come through, but the steadfast presence is going to dissipate. So that's going to be the big ult away, saving his life. But it's not over yet. Demon Lord is going to be here, going to get those auto attacks. Tef's going to be forced to walk away, going to be able to do so. So the damage is going to be followed up, but nothing is going to secure a kill. And War Leader has saved his own life and picked up a dragon. So well done on this jungler.
Yeah, it's man, another bloody fight. I thought for sure that the play was over when Poppy Ultimate goes through and War Leader gets a great disengage, but still, I don't know how I feel about that. You know, Team A doesn't really lose anything, but the fact that RLS gets a dragon at this deficit is quite shocking.
Yeah, just a mixed position of not prioritizing where they needed to be on the map and giving over a free dragon, especially with so much bot power that has been down here, is definitely not where they wanted it. Now, Callista is a champion that is almost requires the dragon stacking, so I mean that is a big takeaway for War Leader and his team to make sure they do secure that to prevent the fast dragon, fourth dragon stack.
Yeah, there's a good chance that Team A needs the dragon to close out the game, and if that's the case, they need to wait for Soul. RLS potentially earn themselves 5 more minutes to freely scale on Sivir, and that's really problematic. You know, no matter how far ahead Team A is, if Sivir hits 3 or 4 items, it could just be lights out, because Sivir AoE auto-attacking 5 short-range champions that's really scary.
Oh, the ricochet is the main appeal of the champion right now. I mean, it just makes team fights so easy. Just a couple auto attacks, chunking out priority targets. The backliners really never feel safe being too close to their front line. And the battle lines are just so difficult to manage against Sivir right now. And this is kind of identifiable for people who have played the game for a long time. Whenever Sivir is good, she really forces this lane bully meta where a couple champions can scale, but you need to prick those big bullies into her to make sure she doesn't get that free scaling.
Yeah, you got to keep her down early. And, you know, Sivir is really annoying in that she's a good scaler, but she can really just neutralize laning phase and stop playing the lane, just instantly kill the minion wave. But we're going to have to hold on to that thought because...
Yeah, Ultimate's going to come through. Anti's going to get ulted. Shyvana's not going to have enough tankiness to survive. And just an over-aggressive play trying to find the kill as A's going to grab another one. And they just are dominating this early game so far, at least when it comes to the skill score. And I do expect that Rift Hero to be going over to them as well. And a fantastic roam-up for Rare Adam, being where he was not expected to be.
Yeah, I love this Herald capture. You know, this is a team that needs to win so fast and so early that maybe you just don't even play for dragons at this point after losing the first one. If you get that Herald to crash or plates, though, on the other hand, that can be the tempo you need to just smash through the game, get a 20-minute Baron, and close out. And, you know, I think on paper, you take the blue side draft every time. There's so many tools, so much disengage. But I think props to Team A, they have the confidence to drive this kind of plucky and fragile looking draft just because they're confident that this plays to our strengths. This is the strategy we want to play. We're good at fighting, so let's draft fighting champions. You know, they're making it look good so far.
Absolutely. I mean, you can definitely tell where their priorities lie. I mean, how important laning phase was to them and just getting that all-in team fight. I mean, Wukong being such a strong champion in the meta. And then this interesting look of the Kennen and flexing it into the bot lane to make sure it at least has an even lane. And it's been working out quite well because this laning phase has been really difficult for the Sivir. And the CS for MXL is looking very, very strong right now as the Sivir is going to be slowed down on her scaling a little bit, especially if she gets dived.
Oh yeah, that's potentially problematic. And speaking of that dive, we see War Leader playing the counter, and with the wave going down, Rare Adam tanking too many tower hits, and I think the play is going to be called off.
Yeah, very intelligent not to go through that. Now, they did have the Shen ultimate available, but Jaffe wasn't in a safe space to use it, and that is good communication, just letting them know that, hey, just because you have it, can't use it right now, and he would have lost so much on the top side with how many plates Anti would have been able to grab before the wave position was.
All right, we do have Dragon coming up in, I believe, 45 seconds. And, you know, if I'm RLS, I kind of feel like you just don't play this fight. You know, we're not stronger. They're better at fighting. We don't want to engage into them once they're already set up. Why not just give this Dragon? It's their first one. It's going to be at least like 15 more minutes until they can potentially get Soul. Probably more like 20 realistically.
Oh, this is going to be fight looking onto Tef, but the Ruby's going to follow.
Man, this is actually with Team A. I don't know which one of these short trades is going to turn to an all-in. Just on the edge of my seat. This is pretty exciting. Maybe less exciting if you're an RLS fan, but I think they still have winning chances. They have to play a really calm and disciplined game and keep farming it out. But I think RLS definitely has ways to win because of how hard Team A's composition falls off. If they lose one critical fight and give shutdowns, I think it's actually over for them.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, XT having some good discipline to not go super all in on Tef right there. Exhaust, flash still available. Wukong ultimate so important as Face Check's going to be there. An instant kill. Very well set up by the time of Team A. Making sure that Dragon is going to be secured, but getting a pressure onto Ruby, who's just kind of meandering into the bot side with no real vision.
Yeah, looks like just RLS not on the same page there uncharacteristically. I think it should be clear that they're giving up the Dragon. Oh, I think War Leader trying to get the knock up on the Herald to send it back, but I think unfortunately narrowly misses it. But yeah,
unable to get that.
Moment of miscoordination by RLS. It looks like Ruby wants to challenge the Dragon. No one else wants to. Bottom lane is not in position, and with Theft and Escape not in position to fight, there's just no way they can walk into the pit.
Yeah, and with 4 kills onto Esports Demo, this is a nightmare scenario with Yone being so far ahead, one of the best scaling champions in the game, with him having his inexplicable mixed damage auto attacks, which we're still wondering why that's in there.
Yeah, our next right games, yeah. They just really want you to be able to blind pick Yone mid and without rooting your comp, because that's what all the solo queue clowns do, picking Yasuo with 4 AD.
Well, I like to believe either someone got erased or someone was fired, but either or, the champion is an incredible scaler, so him having that shield ball already in the game is going to be very, very good. 2-item power spike is where we're looking for Demon Demo rather. So when he does grab that, this is going to be the strongest point in the game for Team A, and they've already been on a very fast clip.
Yeah, Esports Demo's really ahead of the curve, and I think the problem for RLS here is that even though they have a lot of forms of CC, they don't have a lot of proactive CC or like single target lockdown. They have a lot of deterrence CC or disengage. And with Yone, it's kind of pointless to disengage the Yone because he's just going to snap back to his clone and then try again in 10 seconds. So it's super hard when he just doesn't have to commit anything and you have to just desperately scramble to keep off your backline, even when he's just hasn't even committed ultimate.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, Escape's ultimate is going to be very good as geez, I'm giving me a chance to talk about something else as another solo kill is grabbing on. Ruby is struggling in this lane, and 5 kills grabbed already. Esports Demon's on a clip, and he is looking for multiple kills across the map as he's now headed towards his top side.
Yeah, to his credit, Ruby is farming this one out pretty well, and I think, especially with his background, like, that's not bad. He's holding his own against the Esports Demo, at least in terms of farm. But yeah, just a lot of those laning concepts, which are a lot more technical and matchup specific, it's hard to just understand that even if you're a smart player. You just kind of have to know from experience that, oh yeah, Yone Q3 after E will one-shot me at this point in the game. And it looks like Ruby just hasn't been in this type of situation often enough to know and respect those damage breakpoints.
Yeah, and absolutely. Talia is just one of those champions that when she falls behind, it's very difficult for her to do what she wants to do. We haven't seen a single Weaver's Wall at 16 minutes. I mean, this champion needs to get out of lane, find angles to punish, and when she's behind and doesn't have wave control, it's really difficult for her to even do her main win condition. So, I mean, Ruby being trapped in lane is not going to be the end goal for RLS. They're going to need to try to get him out as soon as possible to try to find some avenues back into this game.
Yeah, I do say one thing that they have going for them, the top side of the map for RLS has been really struggling, but, Tef and Escape have been quietly making moves in the bottom lane. They're farming this one out, and against a Callista Kennen lane, getting to free farm, that's exactly what you want, but
we'll see. Tef too far. Spell Shield's going to keep the knockup away. Flash is going to come in. Autos aren't going to be there. Ren's going to follow up soon. Exhaust is going to dissipate. In a couple more seconds, Ren's not going to be enough to grab the kill as Tef is forced to flash, but now the backup's coming on the way. Kennen's flash R, that's going to be the stun. Escape taking so much damage. Stopwatch going to be there. Escape's going to drop. 3 kills under the tower. Arc on the way with only 1 traded back. Well played dive for Team A.
Yeah, they get everything off, and unfortunately, War Leader slipping on that ultimate accuracy and gets punished. Tev and Escape are doing their best to kite out, but with Tev at low mana, it's a little bit harder than to find a clean escape. And then Tev is going to flash away, and there's 4 here. War Leader channels his ultimate, but is just a little bit too trigger happy, and with his itchy trigger finger, releases too soon, and with 4 people here, 4v3, the dive is just impossible to stop, and there's no way they can prevent this from happening. On the flip side, though, at least Jaffe is able to trade back from top side. He's shoving the wave. Obviously, couldn't interrupt the Shen roam, but at least maybe can get a tower in exchange.
Yeah, shutdown going over to War Leader, unfortunately. So not the best recipient of that 850 gold. And with more money in the pocket of Esports Demo, who's been, I mean, frankly, just affecting the map all across the Rift at the moment. This is so difficult to play against Yone when he gets this far ahead.
Yeah, one thing we do want to note is that War Leader did pick up the shutdown off of Esports Demo. So War Leader is in a position to maybe accelerate and make some plays. I think especially against the Yone, Poppy's a great champion to have really strong. You can turn on the W field to stop Yone's ridiculous dashes, and you can buffer so that maybe your backline can hit, because you still have Tef farming, you still have that scaling, and there's all ways back in this game.
Yeah, Jaffe's surrounded by free, but is able to get out with the dash. But now this is going to be a dragon that's going to be fought over. Fight's going to be there. War Leader's going to get the knockback. A bunch of damage coming on. Double ultimate. Kennen's going to die instantly. Ray Adams was trouble. First one to drop. Fight's still going to be on. Wukong's going to get the trade kill onto War Leader. But Neone's here with the extra damage. With the autos is going to kill Ruby and his entire team. But the health bars are low. The fight's still on. MXL's trying to find it. Ren's going to pick up the Sivir. The autos are going to be... is going to land. Anti's taunted. Not able to get the Dragon Breath. Blade of the Rune going to grab the double kill for MXL. Escape looking to find his way out. Looking to escape. It is going to be able to do so with the Janna move speed, but the team fight is going to go over to Team A.
Man, what a heartbreaking fight from RLS. They get everyone down to slivers of HP and barely lose out. And that's what I mean by the scaling advantage. RLS has a very real chance to win this. Don't be deceived by the kills. Jaffe gets a huge flank here. I'm sorry, not Jaffe. Anti gets a huge flank with the dragon form on Shyvana and gets huge dragon breath. And that just chunks everyone out on Team A, and with their short range, they have difficulty re-engaging. Tef is able to hit after Esports Demos is sucked back, but there's just not quite enough damage. If Sivir's a little bit stronger, imagine, like, every single person dies here to the Sivir boomerangs, and it's so close. But Team A hangs on to their advantage for now. They are going to scrap away with a kill advantage, but they do give a couple more kills over to the side of RLS, I believe. Oh, maybe it was just one. It was just one kill on Rare Adam. Man, that's unbelievable. I can't believe it. Team A was so low, but they get this dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even that came over. It didn't look like the Kalista ult was going to be in range. That fight started as a 3 for 4 in RLS's advantage. But even with the numbers and the fight being split, I mean, once Esports Demo came over, I mean, it just completely separated the fight. Talia dies in her team, and there's nothing really to be able to be routed afterwards. But you saw how much damage she put out with Yone just trying to dash through those the unraveled earth. So, I mean, later on into the game, you can definitely see where the win conditions can be. It's going to be very difficult for Esports Demo to play team fights that way, especially as more damage comes through on this Talia.
Yeah, thankfully for RLS, they do have one big thing on their side, and it's just that was only the second dragon from Team A. So they have at least 10 more minutes to kind of farm and scale. And if Sivir can get to 3, maybe 2, maybe 3, if you're really lucky, maybe 4, if you get a couple of these shutdowns and maybe directive bounties. You get to 3 items Sivir, you can just turn on W and attack the entire enemy team. Like, just that last fight, imagine if Sivir just had like 2,000 more gold and had a collector finish. She kills everybody there. So like, I think Tef definitely, they can turn this game around. If they space properly, they get to the gold that they need, and Escape is definitely here to help them out.
Wait, the collector? Is that new?
Oh, I mean, you can buy the collector on Sivir. I think it's good, but in this game, it's going to be Van Dancer, looks like.
Oh man, I would love to see a pro player do that, man. Or else will be rolling in his grave.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we can take a little we might not have time to take a tangent for Collector Sivir here, because I think we may be fighting to the death.
Oh, yep, Ultimate's gonna come through.
Oh, man!
As the knockup's going to be there, Monsoon's going to push away. Shutdown come throughs already. Auto's going to come on to War Leader. Ren's going to be pulled out. The spears are coming, but the exhaust is going to be there. Cliss is not going to be able to go. War Leader's going to get and make it out. All the damage Teth following through. That's another shutdown given over where Adam's going to be the only one who's making it out so far, but being chased with that Sivir move speed. Shyvana's too fast. A kill's coming over, and Adam's going to drop as that's going to be a 4 bodies in this fight with Yone nowhere to be seen.
A huge overstep by Team A. I can't believe that Escape was able to save War Leader. That's super clutch with the Janna shield. And you know, this 44 breaks out and you're like, 44, this is great. Shen's gonna ult in. But, you know, Team A is really far ahead, but all their gold is on esports demos. And all of RLS's disadvantage is on Ruby. And Ruby and esports demos are 1v1 in the bottom side of the map. And with that overconfidence, Team A thinks that they have the advantage. They don't have a real gold advantage in this topside fight. They're 4v4. Pretty much it's 4 relatively even members against 4 relatively even members. And the entire gold advantage that Yone represents is not even at this fight. And with those 4 kills, RLS is not done yet. They're going to try and get Baron.
Absolutely. I mean, credit where it's due. War Leader played that fight amazingly. Beautiful steadfast presence, preventing the engage. And then afterwards, Tef with a fantastic exhaust onto the Kalista to prevent them those spears from killing War Leader.
Oh,
but now
esports demos!
Look, double ultimate autos coming through. How many bodies is he going to be able to drop? It's going to be 0 so far. No Q3 to get back into the pit. So this is Baron going over to RLS. And with the extra gold from the ejected bounty claim as a massive swing, and the gold is right back to even.
Oh my goodness, this is a disaster for Team A. Even gold, only have 1 dragon, and Baron's off the map. It's going to be so hard for Team A to accelerate at this point with all these tools unavailable. Soul is so far away. There's no Baron on the map. And even if RLS does nothing with their Baron power play, just the fact that they remove Baron from the map and they just get to farm for however knows how long is a godsend for RLS.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much value in collecting the bounty, as it looks like the red's going to be stolen. Rare Adam's going to grab it. The Q from hell at that point, man, just getting it for the Kennen. And with the way War Leader's playing, I'm sure he's not too upset. He has saved the game a little bit with those good heroic charges and the steadfast presence they've had so far. But let's see how much value they're going to get out of this Baron buff, because it looks like this is just going to be more of a stabilizing Baron.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, one thing that we do need to keep an eye on is even though Team A does make a pretty massive throw there, they do still have a lot of combo AoE tools. There is a world where, you know, just 5-man, one-shot AoE combo, and we haven't really seen the full power of MXL Kalista ulting Rare Adam into the fight yet. You know, we tried it in the last fight, but because they didn't have esports demos, they didn't quite have enough damage to combo through the CC. But if they have everyone there next time, it could be a different story.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I couldn't help myself. I was looking in chat. I wanted to see how everybody was enjoying the game. And I just see 2 AD carries just giving their input on the collector Sivir. One person is a little more sus on it than the other.
Come on. It's good. Okay, I don't say you should build every game. But, you know, I was thinking specifically of that fight that they fought, right? Where, like, everyone lived with 1 HP. So, like, in that exact fight, if you have 3,000 gold and you spend it all on the collector, you instantly kill 4 people. But, like, you know, I'm not saying it's the only Sivir build out there, guys. It's a situational item.
I can see it. I mean, lethality Sivir was really big a while back. I mean, the Q still has a massive AD ratio. I mean, getting that extra pin onto squishy targets is definitely nice. It's just a little weird because collector is so expensive. Flash, the stun is going to follow up. Escape's going to be unable to cast the Monsoon, so that is going to be 1 free kill given over. War Leader is going to be looking for XT. He's going to be able to walk out. The Wukong's going to get a big ultimate. The knockups are going to be there, and that is a big fight so far. Stun's going to land, but no kills are dropped over. War Leader too tanky, and only 1 person dead. Escape's not the only one who, ironically, was unable to escape.
I mean, esports now is reading a little bit of Jules Verne or something because he's going around the world in 80 days. Because you know, I'm not going to analyze this fight. Just that was really funny. Esports demos flying around. And I think we're just going to have part 2 and fight for the dragon because it's still alive. Unfortunately for Anti, his dragon form's about to run out. But whoa, he's just dueling demos. Does he win this?
Oh, shield bow is on. Autos are going to be there, but he's not going to be able to take it. Flash away is going to be for esports demo, but it's secured. And well, it doesn't look like he was going to be able to win that. I mean, the esports demo has that, still had the snapback available when the all in fight was committed. But man, a lot of value coming out from Anti, even being that close to taking that 1v1 and forcing out esport demo, but just not enough with that dragon going over.
Yeah, I thought that Anti was dead without escape nearby to shield, but barely lives on the last tick of Ignite or something. But yeah, unfortunately, it's another dragon. Thankfully, RLS doesn't lose too much for it, so if you're an RLS fan, there's still hope. There is one more dragon fight before Soul is a relevant factor in the game, so that might be the time that RLS needs, because they are potentially on track to finish iEdge before then onto TEF, and that's exactly what they need to crush these fights. I think if they continue to funnel gold into TEF, definitely possible to complete. You already have the BF sword, so it's about 2,000 more gold. It's tough, and you have to sacrifice farm on a lot of your other characters. But honestly, does anyone else's economy in this game matter? I think this has to be the TEF and the War Leader show right now for RLS to have a chance.
Yeah, and that's not even just War Leader for the utility. If you look at where the damage is going to be coming from, I mean, 2 items on Ruby, enough to be able to be comparable. I mean, the Unraveled Earth still gets a lot of value into the Yone, especially when he's dashing in, so I'm not going to ignore that. But you're right, a lot of this damage is going to have to come from TEF, and we're hoping he's going to be able to get the IE by 3 minutes, but that is a really fast clip. You'd basically need 270 CS or a kill. So I mean, unless they were super heavily funneling him, it's gonna be unlikely he's gonna get that IE. More than likely, he's just gonna be sitting on a pickaxe. But this is gonna be a big final fight for this dragon, as Rare Adam is who they're gonna be looking at. Anti is gonna be getting in trouble. Rare Adam is gonna be the first one to drop, instantly dead on the cannon. No time to get off the ultimate. War Leader is gonna be looking for the chase. Heroic charge is gonna be there soon. Stun is gonna be unable to grab, as Wukong's gonna die for free. So 2 kills picked up for RLS. Well done finding the picks in the river. 3 minutes on the clock before the dragon. No Baron available so far, so those are just going to be kills. So
that might be a little bit of the goal that TEF needs to get to that iEdge, because it was pretty close before. You know, I feel a little bit of deja vu here, though. You know, wasn't that the exact same 4v4 situation in the top side of the map next to Baron that RLS wins? You know, I think Team A needs to put the pieces together in their head, but hold that thought. Mid tower going down.
Yep, stun's going to land. Jaffe's taking a bunch of damage. Good use of the block field that's going to keep him alive through all the extra autos from the side of TEF. But that's a free tower given over. More gold going to be in RLS's pockets. They're going to look to reset pretty soon to try to start setting up for this dragon. But the picks coming through have just been super punishing, and this is a Shyvana who's online. 3 items. We have to give credit. I mean, Anti has not been giving that much show, but he's managed to work his way into a 500 gold shutdown. So that is going to be who we're looking at in these fights.
Yeah, you know, Team A is a team of like basically 5 superstars. Everyone's super strong in their role. And RLS is a very different energy. You know, they kind of lost early game. They got pretty destroyed. And they don't really have any one obvious superstar on their team either. But RLS has always been a team that fights as a team. It is a team that has a unique identity, and everyone's communicating, and everyone is compensating for each other's strengths and weaknesses. And you know, Ruby, he got crushed in lane. He got absolutely destroyed. But what has Esports Demos been able to do with that advantage? Very little. He's been trying to split push to the side lane, and Ruby really intelligently has been matching super safely, avoiding the dive. And with Esports Demos splitting, there's no one on the top side of the map to turn those team fights around for Team A. And Ruby, in a way, has contributed just as much to Esports Demos despite his lane deficit. So huge shout out to RLS for really mitigating that.
Is he in trouble 1 minute before the dragon? Is he going to die? But it looks like it's not going to be the one who's going to die. That's going to be too much damage. Shut down onto the Yone. Oh my god, that is a beautiful ultimate for the Wukong, keeping him alive. But it's not going to be enough. You're fighting into the corridor. Silver Ricochet is getting so much value. Everybody's going to drop from the side of Team A. You can't do that against Silver.
Oh my god, that's exactly what he's talking about. 3 out of Silver, Infinity Edge is done. TEF obliterates them in the choke point. You know, Escape says, call ambulance, but not for me. Esports Demos thinks he can convert the kill, and he actually does at the very end, but not without dying. And his team has to commit to this fight. They're too short range to walk away. And look, TEF is spaced perfectly. They can't get anywhere near him, especially with Ruby covering his back. And TEF basically just gets the dream saber fight. They're all in the choke. They can't get to you. You're next to your tower. Your whole team's next to you. You turn on W, and it's lights out for Team A.
Yeah, this is a disaster for Team A. The Baron's going to be up on the clock. Still a chance to fight for Dragon. It's going to be close. Those respawns are going to be very close to the spawn, but it's going to be dependent on whether or not RLS is going to look for the recall or if they're going to attempt to just go straight for the Dragon. But I mean, that's Team A. That's your hope right now. You've already kind of gotten outscaled in team fights. It's really difficult to find those easy picks. And with Esports' demo no longer being the massive threat that he once was, good monsoons coming out from Escape, it's really these team fights are kind of reached the point where it's going to be very difficult to manage.
Yeah, it's not necessarily reflected in the KDA so far, but one player I really want to highlight on RLS is actually Escape. And there was a lot of talk about Escape switching to support and a little bit of controversy. Like we've seen Escape, playing other positions, but we haven't really seen Escape play support before, but he's actually really making it look good this season, and has really impressed me. And especially in this draft, Jen has such an important role to stop these 4 monkey champions from engaging that, Escape is really shutting down a lot of the agency from Team A.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see this is just some of the fear that has been built up. We was used. And
man,
that is
so smart. Like, man. This guy is not very experienced in laning, but like he gets the game. Like I'm not sure who is someone coaching him through the macro. Like does he just know this stuff? Like Ruby's super smart and looks way better than he has any right to be. That's such a great wall.
He carry the coach of RLS?
Oh, true. That's true. I guess the coaching experience really coming into play.
Jesus, man.
You're right.
Somebody get Civil a doctor, man. You gotta come on this team. Is the coach, man.
Yeah, I guess it's just Coach Ruby's. Just put him on the Rift. He'll go down 5 kills and then never die for the rest of the game. Like, has Ruby actually died after the end of laning phase? I don't think he has.
No, it's like
he was split pushing against the ginormous Yone for like 10 continuous minutes and like never died. Like, how does that happen?
As soon as he got his hourglass, he was just very, very safe. Play for Talia's wave clear. I mean, he's already at the point where he one-shots the wave anyway, so very intelligent from Ruby to not continue the bleeding. And without those free kills, I mean, look at how much damage Anti is doing. I mean, this is something we've seen in the Shyvana. When that demonic embrace comes through, that is so much free damage. Stun's going to be there. Steadfast Presence is going to lock up 2 targets already, and 1 is going to be dropping so far. Cannon Ultimate's not going to get much value, and this is just going to be a clean wipe. The team fight is already going too far. The other way, RLS has fought their way back, and they will finish this game. And just fantastic team play, grabbing it back out from laning disadvantages. They were so far behind, but the W still in the pocket, so they're not upset.
Yeah, they're just going to take their victory march here. They have the wave. They have Baron still. Should be an easy closeout. And wow, what a game. RLS, they have their back against the wall. They're on the ropes. They're looking a little dizzy. And maybe a knockout punch coming any moment. But they regain their footing. And with Team A gassed out, they reverse the entire story of the game. They flip it around. And you would not have imagined that this team was, what was it, 0-10 in kills? And they absolutely do not care. They play as a team. They play to their win condition. And with that 3-item Sivir, Team A's comp just turns off.
Absolutely. Get your votes in the chat. Who you get putting for MVP? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, that this game, the War Leader did a fantastic job getting his team back into the game. Those heroic charges, the steadfast presence, just executing team fights properly every single time. I mean, I don't know, I'm just really impressed with how he played this played this matchup, and really above my expectations for him generally, because he's more of a, I want to say more of a team fight focused jungler already, but his early game was something that I was very impressed with him last season. So him changing it up and just focusing more on just executing properly in all of these fights, I mean, you can see why RLS has been on such a good clip so far.
Yeah, for sure. And like, honestly, every single person on RLS played so well. Like, obviously Anti was really big. Obviously Tef got to 3 items of Sivir and AoE auto attacked the entire enemy team. But like, everyone on RLS understood their job. Even though it was really dire, even though it looked really bad, everyone was moving coherently and they understood that they were cutting back, they were protecting the backline. And honestly, like, Anti could get MVP, Tef could get MVP. Honestly, like War Leader could get, anyone get, even Ruby could get MVP, because even though he got behind in lane, he was so useful. He was everywhere. He was holding esports demos. He was stopping the split push. He was throwing down a couple of great walls at the end. Like, man, what a joy to watch RLS play.
Absolutely well-deserved victory for RLS. I mean, the boys have been on a fantastic 4-1 so far, and with an interview on the way, don't touch that browser. We'll be right back to hear with our victorious team.
Welcome back, everyone. After our short break there, we just finished Game 3 today of our Heroic League Week 3, Day 1. And we had a fantastic game versus RLS versus Team AAA. Quad A, fantastic performance. It was definitely back and forth. But if you didn't get enough of him in Game 1 and 2, I've brought his fantastic voice back. I'm joined here by Anti. How are you feeling after your victory, Anti?
Hello. I'm glad to be back. This time, you know, being on the winner's interview side always feels a little bit nice.
That's true. I mean, I bet it's a good feeling. I've never felt it. Tragedy. I'm just kidding.
Feels bad.
But, you know, let's talk a little about this game. I think this is one of the most unique games as far as a draft we've ever seen. So I was kind of wondering, on your guys' side, is this something that you were expecting with this chaos? Like, how did you prepare for it? And what was it like going through it?
So, actually, a little bit of backstory. Right before the season started, RLS wasn't initially planning on playing in the Heroic League. We had a few plans for Mythic, but we really just didn't have enough players for a Mythic team. So we were kind of out of luck. So I was recruited by XT to join on Team AAA or A24 or A, as you know, there's so many names, right? So I played a few games with them. We clicked. It was a lot of fun. And last second, a team drops out. We sign up with RLS, and Jaffe was the sub top laner on Team A, and I was the starter. And the RLS team was going to be comprised with Jaffe as the starter for RLS and me as the starter for A. I was like, hey, Jaffe, would you mind if I played on RLS instead? Because I want to be able to play with my old friends. He's like, yeah, sure. So, there were no hard feelings between both teams. And even now, we still remain, pretty much friends, I'd say. So it's always a pleasure to be able to run into these guys. But because of that, I also know that, like, the moment we were in the loading screen, I said, all right, early game's gonna be whack. Every single one of them are psychopaths.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we kind of got to see unfold. Like you said, early game is a little bit rocky. Definitely some kills going on, and demos maybe getting a little out of control there. But also one point I wanted to talk about. Civlock said this best on cast, I believe. He said, watching the first solo kill onto you from Jaffe, he said that you're a very strong mental player, so that most likely didn't really even affect you. And I was just kind of wondering, is that exactly what happened? And when you look at that and your experience with being able to shake things off, was that a big factor for why you were able to come back after the early game?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak for how other people would view that kind of an experience, but, when Jaffe taunt flashes me, the first words out of my mouth is like, oh, I'm dead. Right? Because, at that point, I overstepped and I overstayed, so yeah, I deserve that. And Jaffe and Fish are probably the two top laners in this league that I've said, repeatedly, these are the two that I'm really watching out for. I can't just kind of sit back and do whatever I want.
True. Definitely some definitely punishing things to watch out. The matchup was just shaking. And let's talk about Ruby. Ruby seemed to play a very interesting role in this game. Of course, the struggle early, but then after that, didn't die after you kind of broke open into mid game. So, what was it kind of like from Ruby's perspective, and being able to just still find very creative ways to use that champion?
Ruby is a very interesting player, right? Because he has not really had the kind of, higher level in terms of solo queue, right? Ruby's still in silver, which is mostly because he didn't play a lot during some of the earlier seasons, and he's just continually learning the game. But because he pretty much always plays in a 5-stack, he's very, very good at, playing all the things that you're not going to learn in solo queue, like side laning. Like, the moment that Ruby breaks from, laning phase into side laning, I think he goes from, all right, this is something I'm actively working on, to this is something that I've known for years and years, and he's so comfortable at it.
Yeah, it played out very, very well for you. And when you were kind of deciding these team fights to take when you were down, what was kind of the things that you were looking for to kind of claw your way back into this game?
A large part of it was, we already knew that with Talia E, it was going to be very hard for MXL to put out any damage. And after that, it was really just, okay, who do we need to shut down? Who do we need to play around? So, in some of those earlier fights, we're just like, all right, we need to make sure to play around Tef here. And, sometimes I overstepped a little bit and left Tef to their own devices. But eventually we're just like, all right, we're playing around this. We're shutting down their team. And Poppy W is a really broken ability.
That is true. A lot of things that were running at you. And, I kind of overheard the conversation before I hijacked you into this interview. So I was just kind of curious. What is the trash talk that was perspiring around Escape?
It was more just... So Escape, despite being Canadian, has taken all the Canadian spite that Canada could possibly have. And, was just joking like, oh yeah, you should totally just trash talk everyone on the enemy team. And I was like, Spencer, if I'm trash talking anyone on the interview, I'm just gonna trash talk you. Because, we've known each other for a long time, and this guy, for so long, always talks about how easy support is. Every single time I played with him on support in the past, he is fed so hard, And every time I tried to give him advice, he's like, well, I don't really care about learning support. So then this season, he's like, all right, I'm playing support and competitive. I'm just like, yeah, cool, right? So we actually start playing our matches, and he's actually playing support. And I'm just sitting here, it's like, oh, it wasn't a joke. We're gonna be bottom 8.
Oh no, that sinking feeling that kind of comes in. True, but anyway, looking at your match. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, all honesty, he's been pulling his own weight, doing quite well. His vision's been phenomenal, and as always, his calls are great. So, love to see him on the team. I prefer him in a different role, but it's fine.
And looking at your match tomorrow, you'll be going against the Juggernaut, the dreaded Team INT. It sounds like from the listening of the fans and the community that you're supposed to be the ones that can take them down. Are you feeling up to that challenge tomorrow?
Honestly, only time will tell. I have only ever been able to watch Fish from a distance. I've never actually played into Fish Magish myself, so I can't really tell you how top lane is going to go, but I do know it's not going to be an easy one. That's for certain.
Fair enough. And I got one more question for you. Looking at our last match of the day, it'll be against Team Cloud9 versus Team Wash. What's your take on them?
If I'm going to be completely honest, both teams are way stronger than we saw in that first week. They're incredibly interesting teams, and I love to see how they're developing.
But who takes it? You didn't answer the question.
Oh, who's gonna take it? Oh, no. Shoot. I would give it to Team Washed, but I could totally see Cloud9 absolutely just blasting through with something crazy.
Alright, perfect, everyone. You heard it here. Anti's going to go ahead and be voting for them. And with that, we'll be back in just a few moments after this interview into Game 4. And we'll be right back.
Wait.
What do you got?
I just got one last thing to say.
One more thing. Hit me with it.
Another dub for the Ruby League server!
That's right. More to come, hopefully, for the rest of the season for you guys. We'll be right back.